Well, Tresa, thanks for chatting with me.
My pleasure.
Give me a reaction from the debate.
I'm glad it's over. I had things I knew I wanted to say, and I think that I said all of them. And I think that my ideas were well received. I had a couple people come up to me after the event and say, I came here for King, but I don't know now. And I think that bodes positively on what my message was.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic.
Well, that's cool. Now, before we get into any of the major questions, I have to pass along that our Sunday show regular Labette Larry just loves you to death. I don't know why. Larry Asbury just loves you to death. He every week he calls in and he's like, vote for Tresa, blah blah blah. So he's a card-carrying member of your movement.
I've not met him in person, but we've talked on the phone and on the computer. And
I'm sure you have.
He's passionate. Well, I guess he's talking and I've listened, but he's one of those people that's awake and aware, and I like people like that are telling, speaking the truth and telling you what's going on, and we need more people like him.
Well, that's cool. Now, you mentioned hemp will save the world. Expand on that a little bit.
Hemp will save the world because when we plant it, it uses less water to grow, and it cleans the soil as it grows. It revitalizes the soil. It aerates the soil. Even as a rotation crop, it has value. As beyond the range of irrigation equipment, if we plant hemp there, we can increase our crop yields. Farmers can have something valuable to plant there. So environmentally, it's good for us, and it'll save the world because we need good farmland, clean water, clean air, or plentiful water, and hemp uses less water. One of my favorite statistics is in 2012 when we had that terrible drought. The criminal DEA officials in Kansas were finding marijuana right and left because it was the only thing worth growing. The wild ditchweed left over from what Grandpa grew in the 50s and 40s and 50s. And I think that says something, that it'll grow even in the worst conditions. And Kansas has some bad conditions. We either have really nice, gentle, wonderful years, maybe one in every 10 years, or we have challenging years. And I think that farmers will benefit from that. So farmers grow it. People can eat hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are like one of the most perfect balanced forms of nutrition that you can have. I want to buy hemp protein and hemp seeds that are cheaper than, I think I pay something like $16 a pound for my hemp seeds right now, and I eat them almost every day in salads or whatever on eggs. And I think that nutritionally it will be good for people. And then the businesses that'll pop up in Kansas, we have a lot of unused vacant factories and warehouse space, and I think that if we retool and refit them with whatever we need to make whatever we want to make out of hemp. You can make plastic stuff out of hemp, or building materials, or paper, or cloth, or anything. I want to buy hemp-made toilet paper so that I don't have to be cutting down trees for that purpose, or paper towels. I was one of those people that went cloth everything in my house for a long time, and that's not great for the water. I think that if we can replace those things with hemp, which is biodegradable and gentle on the planet, I think that's a really positive step. So if you have the environment and you have the economy, and then it'll bump up the business place too. There's going to be a lot more options for hemp. And then when you look at the hemp products, compared to their competitors, hemp biodiesel is superior to any other kind of biodiesel out there for a whole bunch of reasons. Hemp concrete is superior to sand concrete, and hemp plastic is superior to oil plastic. So anything that we're doing, and of course the paper products and the cloth products too, is going to be a superior product. And the reason that we haven't let that technology take over has just been political games, and I think that it's time for that to end. And I think hemp will save the world. It'll be a big foundation stepping stone to making everything okay.
Well, I know that hemp was a big deal back, 50s and 60s, and even before that, and then cotton people got hemp banned because of all the things. Mm-hmm. Now, why did you become a libertarian?
I have been a family woman since I started having kids, and I was divorced after my older two, and I had some time suddenly where my kids were gone part-time with their dad, and to fill the time I started doing some volunteer work and looking to affect change in a positive way, things that I knew were a problem that needed to be solved. I just knew that there's not enough people working on the problems, and so I set out to do that. And I started in my own backyard with my homeowners association, we got tied up with the state, because everybody knows anything you do with the state takes time. And so in that downtime, I started looking for pursuing other causes I believed in. And I went, I checked in with the Democrats briefly. They seem to be a lot of talk and not a lot of action. They feel like they have their hands tied in Kansas, like they are the dissenting majority, but they don't really have a clear vision other than not Republican, and that didn't fit with me. And they weren't big hemp supporters at the time, and I still think that they're tentative about throwing their support behind it. Republicans, I did that for several months because everybody wants to play on a winning team, the majority team. I agree with what Keene said about how they want your money and they want your time, but they don't want your ideas and they don't want you to buck the status quo. That didn't sit well with me either, and they're absolutely not willing to engage in hemp cannabis conversations. And so in the 2012 election, I was registered as a Republican to vote for Ron Paul in the primaries. And when he didn't win, and I was really disheartened by the options that we were going to have, because I knew that more Obama was probably not going to be the best thing, and more whoever the Republicans put was not going to be good for the country. And then I learned about Gary Johnson, and it was like angels sang and light came upon everything. Actually, I went to the Libertarian Party first. I went to my first meeting in Topeka at this pub, and I walked in, and it was in the back room, and it was this cool, chic place, and everybody had a drink. Well, not everybody did, but it was the first meeting I went to that was laid back. There was real people talking about real ideas that were in line with what I believed, and they seemed to they were like really working on things. There were people that were in committees, and this group of people is working on this legislation, and this group of people is working on this. And I really connected with that, and that was what I wanted to do. And so I was hooked, and the more libertarians I've gotten to know, I haven't met one that I haven't liked. I think that everybody is really professional and keeps on task and on the business points, and we come together under our shared passion for restoring liberty in our country, and that's where we come together, and there's people from all different walks of life, and it's just a really great way to meet people and come together for the common cause. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, before I let you go, I asked this to Keem earlier, and I asked him two things. I'll ask you two more things. One is, everybody complains about Obamacare and the Affordable Health Care Act. What is the alternative? If we repeal that or get rid of that, what's the alternative?
I feel like we need to have more options in the health insurance market. If they're going to mandate health insurance, there needs to be more options than what currently is written into the law. I'm one of those people that doesn't really see doctors. I concentrate on preventative measures first.
Yeah.
And I use alternative medicine type providers. So I hired midwives when I had my babies. I see a nutritionist or an acupuncturist, a massage therapist, or a chiropractor before I'll go to my MD. And the plans available now don't benefit me. They cost me a lot of money for basically something I'll never use. We would be candidates for catastrophic care insurance, and that's not available anymore. So what does Kansas do? I think that the first step is doing something like what Keene's son is doing, where doctors cut out the insurance industry and deal directly with the consumers, with the patients. And then I think the other thing is, if we're going to keep the Affordable Health Care Act, we need to offer or broaden it and give a little more flexibility to the types of plans that they can offer.
That's cool.
Or do away with it altogether and do away with insurance companies and have a single payer system where everybody just pays and you can just go get health care when you need it. I think that would also be, I mean, it's not super popular with libertarians because everybody wants to take care of themselves, but I think nobody can plan disasters or catastrophic illness, and there needs to be some, I think it's a right role of government to have some sort of safety net there. It's a proper use of the common support system, but the way that they've gone about it is, I think it's not sustainable, and it's not working, and it's very expensive and wasteful.
And the final question is 5%. How can we get to 5%?
We're going to get 5%. I'm pretty sure we're going to get 5%. Just because either candidate we go with, if I may say so, has got the best ideas. We're both willing to stick our necks out there and say the things that traditional politicians aren't willing to say. They're not allowed to say, maybe I would say. And I think people are going to really identify with that. And if we brand ourselves properly, if the Libertarian Party of Kansas brands ourselves, introduces ourselves to the public and says we are not those wingy, those fringe nuts that you see on TV, they're labeling libertarian as people that are way out there, if we are the solution, if we're the ones saying, these are the rules, I think we should stick to the rules and start with the rules and let go of all the extra stuff that we've been doing, I think people will identify with that. And I think 5% is an easy goal in this election. I think that we're going to be a contender for the governor's race. I think that, you know, the three-way race, it's a 35%, something like that majority, and that's the goal we should be working for.
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this. And